Call to order the regular meeting for October 17th, 2017. Can everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Larry Armstrong.
Here.
Sean Douglas.
Here.
Michael Howry.
Now here.
Michelle Hayes.
Here. Can I get a motion to appoint the new board member, to appoint Jean Sensi to fill the remaining term of the vacant board position, which expires December 31st of 2019?
So moved. I'll second.
Okay, questions or comments? I just want to say welcome to the board. I'm very excited. When Jacqueline decided that she was going to resign, I was very disappointed because we really enjoyed having her. She was great. We loved working with her. But I think you're going to make a wonderful addition to the team, and I'm very excited about it. So thank you.
Thank you. I'm super excited too.
Roll call?
Larry Armstrong.
Yes.
Sean Douglas.
Yes.
Michael Howry.
Yes.
Michelle Hayes.
Yes.
Vote is 4-0. Pass that down.
Pass that down.
We'll have Susan order a real one.
Oh,
Ooh, fancy.
That's impressive.
Took me like 20 minutes.
Welcome. Thank you.
So I need to administer the oath of office. So if you would raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Ohio, and that you will faithfully and impartially perform your duties as a member of the Board of Education of the Madison Local School District in Lake County, Ohio, to the best of your ability and in accordance with the laws now in effect and hereafter to be enacted during your continuance in said office and until your successor is elected and qualified?
I will.
Thank you. Can you sign the oath and send it down to me, please?
I sure will.
Jean comes to us she works for United Way, and she's in charge of fundraising for United Way. And she also sits on the Lake Tran board for many, many years, so she has some prior board experience. And I'm really excited. I really am. I'm excited. I'm glad. I think we got a very good candidate.
Thank you, Michelle.
Okay. We ready to go on?
Yes.
Okay. Can I get approval of the agenda, please?
I'll move.
Second?
Questions or comments? Roll call?
Sean Douglas?
Yes.
Michael Howry?
Yes.
Michelle Hayes?
Yes.
Jean Sensi?
Abstain.
Larry Armstrong?
Yes.
Vote is 4-0-1.
Okay, can I get approval of the minutes from the meeting, the regular meeting, September 5th, 2017?
I'll move. I'll second.
Questions or comments? Roll call?
Michael Howry?
Yes.
Michelle Hayes?
Yes.
Jean Sensi?
Abstain.
Larry Armstrong?
Yes.
Sean Douglas?
Yes.
Vote is 4-0-1.
And then also approval for the minutes of the regular meeting from September 19th, 2017?
I'll move.
Second?
Questions or comments? Roll call?
Michelle Hayes?
Yes.
Jean Sensi?
Abstain.
Larry Armstrong?
Yes.
Sean Douglas?
Yes.
Michael Howry?
Yes.
Vote is 4-0-1.
Okay, and right now we are on to our first public participation of the meeting, of tonight. Right now is available to any member of the public to address the board regarding any agenda items only. And then at the end of the meeting, we will also have another public participation for any items at all. Does anyone want to address the board at this time? All right, thank you. Board member reports. All right, moving.
I just like the newsletter that you give us, full of information and
communication is definitely an A+ for you.
Thank you. It really is. When we go to other functions, other training things where we meet with other board members and we hear how their board functions and the information that they get passed to them from their superintendent, it's not always real good, clear information, and you really do a good job of providing us with what's going on. So we appreciate that.
Thank you. It's a team effort. Susan helps me a lot during the week, but I really focus, you know, I try and capture my week for you in the best way I possibly can when I'm putting that newsletter together, so.
Thank you. Reports and recommendations of the treasurer.
Thank you. I have two quick items prior to the resolutions that are on the board of agenda. On October 4th, we issued or refinanced $1,295,000 of the House Bill 264 notes that were originally issued in 2011. In addition to refunding the amount, we made an $80,000 principal payment and $27,000 of interest. During the refunding, this board approved the participation in the Ohio Market Access Program, or OMAP. And this is a credit enhancement program offered through the Ohio State Treasurer, and it's designed to lower the borrowing cost of short-term notes. I mean, this is really, it worked well for us because of our horrible credit rating, short-term note, join this program. After the fee that we had to pay, which was to Standard & Poor's for $2,000, the district still saved over $3,000 in interest, and that's interest for 1 year because we'll refund a portion of the notes next year. And basically because it allowed us to get a better credit rating with the OMAP program, we were able to lower the interest rate and lower the yield. Instead of 1.35 to 1.4, we were able to issue them at 1%. So in the market we're in and the credit rating we had, this is a program that we will continue to use as long as it's available. And just real quick, the way it works is if we default on the loans, the state of Ohio will pay for us. We won't default on the loans though. So that's the first item. The second item, the financial audit for the fiscal year end June 30th, 2017. We'll start back up again tomorrow. They were here for about 4 weeks and then got their work done that they had planned. And then the state of Ohio, they had to basically pull out of a lot of schools because the state didn't give them the final testing regulations. Well, those came out last week. They're showing back up tomorrow morning at 6:30. So they'll be here another, I hope, 3 weeks only. And then we will get a draft report back from them, hopefully no management letter comments, and then there will be the opportunity for a post-audit conference if the board so wishes. But I'll keep you informed as the audit winds down.
Real quick, just one question. Would you mind explaining to people why, because when you said horrible credit rating, I want people to understand why we have a horrible credit rating. It's not because we aren't paying our bills. It's not, it's based on something else. So if you could go ahead and.
It's based on the finance of the district for basically the last 10 years. And I've come to the board with every year, Moody's does our credit rating. And, you know, I'd come and they would lower it, they would lower it, they would lower it. Well, the last 2 years they've held it steady because if you look back 2010, 2011, 2012, our revenue outlook was really bleak. So we started cutting, and while we were cutting, it still didn't get rid of that deficit 5 years out. I think it was 2 months ago or 3 months ago I came with the Moody's rating again. They hadn't moved it, but I told you I contacted them this time and said, look, we passed a levy. We're solvent for the next 3 years. We're in the best financial shape we've been in 7 years. How about you move the rating? And at that time they said they'll wait till the audit comes out and possibly reconsider it. If not, they'll reconsider it a year from now when they do their annual review. It simply is not a factor of board decisions, administrative decisions. It is the financial picture outlook of the school district. We've turned that corner. I mean, the levy in May was a big deal to them. It was a huge deal to us. Hopefully that credit rating will come back up. I don't anticipate it coming up as high as we can get through the OMAP program for a few years, but someday we'll get back up there and then not have to pay that $2,000 to get a better credit rating. Did that answer it?
It does.
Okay.
It does. I just wanted to make sure that people understood that it wasn't that we were defaulting on loans. It wasn't that we weren't paying our bills. It was the big picture of they were looking at, how much money the district was bringing in and what our forecast was looking like. And that's why our credit rating was not what we would like it to be.
We pay our bills.
Yes.
We pay on time, every time. The only time we're ever even close to being late is when we have trouble getting approval from a teacher, but I don't ever want this district to get the reputation of being a slow or a poor payer. I mean, that's something we can avoid because we do have the money in the bank, and that won't happen under my watch.
Thank you.
So on to the items in the agenda. First is to approve the financial reports for all funds, the fund-to-fund transfer report, and the check payment register for September 2017.
I'll move.
Second?
Questions or comments? Roll call?
Gene Sensi,
Yes.
Larry Armstrong,
Yes.
Sean Douglas,
Yes.
Michael Howry,
Yes.
Michelle Hayes.
Yes.
Vote is 5-0. The next is to approve the transfer from Fund 001 General Fund to Fund 002 Debt Service Fund in the amount of $103,469.98 for House Bill 264 note principal and interest payments.
So moved?
Second.
And Mike, that's the 86,000 plus the interest that you just mentioned?
Yeah, it's the 80,000 plus the 27,005 in interest, less the premium that we had from the prior issuance.
Any other questions or comments? Roll call?
Larry Armstrong,
Yes.
Sean Douglas,
Yes.
Michael Howry,
Yes.
Michelle Hayes.
Yes.
Gene Sensi.
Yes.
Vote is 5-0. And the next is to accept a generous donation of 5 signed copies of the Kindness Badge book from the Boe Family Foundation to each school in the district to be used for PBIS classroom lessons and library donation. Generous donation of Streak of the Week t-shirts from the Boe Family Foundation to Madison High School to be used for incentives for Streak of the Week students throughout the school year. Generous donation of mums from Sable's Woodside Nursery to Madison High School Key Club to be used for courtyard decorations, and a generous donation of $250 from Madison Kiwanis Club to the district to offset the cost of Reggie Dobbs' presentation.
Can I get a motion?
I'll second.
Questions or comments? I just want to say thank you to everyone who is donating to these different clubs and organizations. And we have a tremendous amount of support from this community, and I'm very thankful for that, so thank you. And roll call?
Sean Douglas,
Yes.
Michael Howry,
Yes.
Michelle Hayes,
Yes.
Gene Sensi,
Yes.
Larry Armstrong.
Yes.
Vote is 5-0. And that's all I have this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Reports to the administrative team?
All right, well, I will start with the kindness badge because as I shared in a previous newsletter, but I think it's really cool, Julia Kershaw is the illustrator and she is a Madison graduate. And I remember her when I was at the high school in the art program, and we shared it with Jeff Greer, and he was very, very excited. And I just wanted to share that with you.
Do you mind passing it around?
I will pass it around. And Julie Beam purchased that for me for my office, so. And the kindness badge is appropriate in October, and I don't know if the library, when they planned this event, it was Bullying Awareness Month, and, one of the messages to stop bullying is to promote kindness, to promote positive behavior, to stop a bully in their tracks, so this is a very good message. On another note, we've got the Reggie Dobbs presentation, and we're very excited to have him on November 6th. He will be at all the school buildings, starting at North Elementary first thing in the morning, doing 2 presentations there, going to South Elementary, doing 2 presentations there, doing a presentation at the high school, then finishing at the middle school, getting a little bit of rest, and coming back to do an evening presentation at the middle school where, you know, the person that sets this up for Reggie said he will get 500 people easy in a community our size for his evening presentation. And it's mostly the kids coming in fired up about what they heard during the day and wanting to bring their parents back at night. So we're very excited to have him. The whole theme of his message is making good choices. No matter what conditions you're in, you can still make good choices. You can choose your path. And I'm very excited. It's been probably about 10 or 12 years since Reggie's been in Madison. So,
I've never heard him. I'm very excited because I know many people who have, and they just rave about what a good speaker he is. I think it's important to point out that this is a community. This is for anyone in the community. If you don't have kids, you're still welcome to come. And certainly the kids can bring their entire family, bring grandma and grandpa, bring everyone with
Yeah.
you. And then what's not on here is he does have a website. If you're not familiar with him, you can Google him. He has a website that tells about him. And then also
video links.
Yes, so you can watch some of his prior speeches that he's done, and he goes all across the country. It's not just Ohio or,
No.
you know, this part of the country. He goes all across the country, so I'm really excited about this.
I am too. It's going to be a good night.
Yeah.
And I have to thank Pastor Mike because he was the one that made the initial connection and said he's going to be in the area this week, at that first week in November, and has some open dates. What can we do to bring him in?
Thank you so much.
Okay, so we talked about that. I've got Reggie Dams. United Way at North Elementary, they taped the teacher to the pole last week and raised over $1,000. It's a really cool event. Mrs. Rogas was taped to the pole, Mr. Mayor, Miss Bayak, Mrs. Niederkorn, Mrs. Nesker, and Officer Ackerman.
I wonder who had the courage to put the piece of tape across
I have no
Dave
idea.
Mayer's mouth.
I have no idea.
Bill Mayer's mouth, excuse me.
I have no idea.
I saw that picture, I thought, oh, that's not going to feel good coming off.
That's true. Yeah.
They're still out there, by the way, if you.
They, you know, they looked like they were like really wrapped tight too.
And they are doing their pumpkin raffles at the elementary buildings starting next week, where the teachers and staff members make pumpkins and the kids can do a put the tickets in for the pumpkins. So it's a fun way to get the kids involved in the community service. And yes, I talk about these things. They can attest to this before Jean became a board member, probably because I've been on the education committee for the last several years as well. So let's see, where do I want to go next? Because I've got several notes. I'll just finish with some of the community things and then we'll move into some other things. The library expo we were at last week, we had a great showing. It could be the candy we had at the table. I had Susan go out and at lunchtime and buy me a bag of candy, and I think people stopped because they wanted candy after the pizza, but it was fun. And what was really great was our Key Club was really well represented that night, helping with the pizza judging, making sure people got their pizza, and it was just a fun evening. So it was a great event to be with it, Nancy, for one of her final events. So tomorrow night I will be in Huntington Woods and I will be meeting with them to talk about any concerns they may have and hear if they have any more concerns over their chillers. I think it's been rather quiet, so we'll see what happens tomorrow night. You'll get a full report in the newsletter on Friday, but I'm looking forward to the evening. Mrs. Wagner has been is a gracious hostess and says just come. She's providing the refreshments and we're just going to talk. So I think it'll be a fun evening. And that is, I think, everything on the community. Well, we'll move into some district things. District cross-country meet is Saturday, and we are hosting it on our fitness course, cross-country course that they've designed. A lot of planning has gone into this and a lot of work. We're hosting the Division II and Division I meets, and from there, the winners of those meets will qualify for regionals, which are in Boardman the following week. So a lot of work has gone into it to prepare, making sure the course is lined right, they have all the timing, the flags. John Dragus and the cross-country coaches have, looked at every detail, and the weather looks to be perfect.
Now,
Doesn't start till 11.
My question is, how are we notifying the community? Because you said that a lot of community is using this course. How are we notifying the community to let them know when the course is not open?
Well, they'll figure it out probably when they see the buses, but I think, we can put something on the webpage if you're planning on using the fitness trail on Saturday.
Well, I really think
And
that we should
Facebook.
have a sign that says when it is open and when it is closed.
Because it's very, very rarely is it closed. We had the You Want to Come Back, I think the middle school had a couple meets, and then this district meet,
I mean,
so.
even if I don't even care if it's just a printed sign that we laminate so that it doesn't, fade and get wet, and we just stick it,
We could do that.
so, a little bit ahead of time saying the course will be closed this Saturday for.
You know the best place to put it? We don't have to put it there, we put it on Brady's middle school sign.
Absolutely, very good.
All
Yeah.
right, I will.
I think
yeah.
we should do that anytime that we know that the course is going to be closed. I didn't
Sure.
realize that we had a tremendous amount of community members
We
using
do.
it.
People are using it. I've heard over and over again that, various people, take families, they use the machines, so that's a good thing. We want it to be used.
Absolutely. I'm
So-
glad to hear it. I just want to make sure that we're,
Yeah, you're right.
not inconveniencing people, who
So-
are planning on spending the day.
That is true. And it's an easy fix because he can put it right on his sign.
Mhm.
All right. At the last meeting, I talked to you a little bit about looking at substitute rates for our classified staff. As you know, we have a serious shortage, especially in the custodial area. And part of that is that many subs go to other districts because of the rate of pay.
Sure.
So Mike ran a report that would take the hourly rate in each category to 85% of the lowest wage on the salary schedule for each of these classifications. And doing that would bring the special needs assistance for subs up to what minimum wage will be in January. And then your secretaries up to $10.20 an hour, your custodian up to $10.30 an hour, and your cafeteria to $8.66 an hour. And that's based on, if you look at the proposed hourly rate, and Mike, pipe in anywhere you want to go, right above it, then the 85% of step 0. Because right now, everybody's getting paid $8.15 an hour?
Yeah,
Is that the
well,
current rate, minimum
Aides and
wage?
secretaries are, cafeteria are $8.15, custodians are $8.25. And we originally, when we were discussing this, we said, well, I kind of laid this out in Riverside. Percentage of Riverside is 78%. That would have caused the educational assistants to actually lose money. And then we went to 83.5
Yeah.
to where they broke even, and then we realized minimum wage is going up January 1st. So we should set it so they're at least at minimum wage come January 1st.
Okay, so at $8.30 an hour, can we actually get a quality special needs assistant to come in?
Well, that's a whole nother question when we get into negotiations because of where some of those scales are. But we do get aides. We do get some moms that want to, that like going into the buildings and subbing in the special needs classrooms. We don't have a hard time. The hardest area we have filling is the custodial. I have 2 substitute custodians to service 5 buildings, and on any given day, if I have 2 or 3 out for illness in the district, I'm short already. So we're hoping that by raising that sub pay a little bit, we will draw some more subs.
And on those, the total hours work under custodians, there are 4 people. 1 worked 1 day, 1 worked less than a week, the other 2 are the bulk of the 2,600 hours.
Yeah.
And one of those is, she's almost full-time. Matter of fact, we had to offer insurance under the Affordable Care Act because she had so many hours.
And she's a custodian that was riffed, when we riffed custodians all those years ago. And she's been, very loyal to the district. And these people work hard, because these buildings are used. When we built the new buildings, that was our, one of the promises to our community was to let them use them, and they're getting used. But it takes time to clean them and maintain them. So, it's nothing to act on. Give it some thought, some discussion. Let me know your thoughts. We would look to hopefully do this. I would think January would make the best sense to make the move and change the rates, because we're gonna have to act on minimum wage in January anyway.
Angela, how does this put us in competition with the other districts who you've said seem to be?
It brings us up. Some of them are a little bit more, we'd be right in line, because we have done that research. And I could pull that out, because I know we did that research last spring.
So when you say right in line, are we still at the bottom of the,
I think some are at 11 an hour, some are a little lower.
are there others that are gonna be at the same level as we are?
Yeah, let me double check that research, because I don't want to spout numbers without looking at them fresh. But I do know that there's some a little higher, because I know Kirtland is higher, Perry's higher, Riverside is probably,
My guess is they're higher just
Higher.
because their starting salaries are
Higher.
higher, even though they're at a lesser percentage.
So is raising this gonna get us better, more people?
I'm
Or are we
hoping.
still gonna be at the bottom and they're still gonna go elsewhere because we still don't pay as much as the others?
well, I'm hoping that it'll get us more people. And I'm gonna do another, have Dave do another all-call for subs. We've advertised in the paper, we've advertised, I think, in church bulletins in the past. We'll continue to put it, on top of the front of the webpage. We do, we desperately need custodial subs.
And what this will do is give us a relatively inexpensive start to try and get more people. But I'm gonna guess if it doesn't, we might be back to you saying, hey, we've gotta tinker with the numbers again. So,
I'd like to see us be competitive, and paying somebody $8.30 an hour to be a special needs assistant that's a tough job.
It is a tough job.
And to be only a few pennies above minimum wage just doesn't seem to me that we're going to get a whole lot of folks, other than the people you've mentioned, moms who want to come in the district or somebody who's just
Right.
especially dedicated to that. But $8.30 to be a special needs assistant seems very low to me. I'd like to see us be able to offer a little bit better wages if we can. I don't want to break the bank, but this doesn't seem like where we're going to save a whole lot of money.
Right.
On
At least
subs.
maybe-
Part of that is the percentage on the scale, and if that's kind of something that we're gonna have to probably tackle in
Okay,
negotiations.
I understand.
and part of it is special needs assistant, regular ed classroom assistant, they're all categorized the same. That's, as
Sure.
Angela says, we've gotta address that in
Too.
negotiations and then,
Right. Those two don't seem to be equivalent in my book.
yeah,
But
I don't think they are, and you don't,
No,
they're not.
And-
But that's, we're dealing with what we have right
Sure,
now.
I understand.
That we realize
And we have
needs
to
to be fixed.
go into negotiations in good faith on that, but I think with some education for the bargaining group, I think they would understand that those are not two equivalent positions.
Correct.
I don't know how anybody would argue that they are, but
Right.
right.
Is there a comparative financial that if you took it up from 8:30 to say 9, or, just to go ahead and do the math so that we could have something to talk about by way of comparison?
Yeah, I can do that while we're talking.
But are you saying that if we did that, we'd have to raise the rate of,
Well, we've got, the reason we did this is so as inflation enacts on the OPSI contract, you know, the base gets increased, our substitutes get the same type of increase. And we don't have to keep coming back and asking for rate increases, you know,
Right.
every time OPSI gets an increase. And that's why it's tied. Basically, it's a fix it and forget it. Although, the way the OPSI contract is now, I don't know as if there's a fix it and forget it until we
Right,
straighten
till-
out some things in the OPSI contract.
When we bumped up the substitute teacher pay, did that have the effect that we wanted of getting more people willing to sub here?
I don't think we've had the drought of subs, you know.
Kind of had the effect that we wanted.
We
it to
have gotten some more subs. There are still some days, depending upon the day, and, you know, that we're short subs, but it's nowhere near, I have not heard it from the principals like I've heard it in the past. You know, we've gone through the first quarter, and I'm not hearing my elementary principals saying they have to cover classes. So that's huge,
And
because that's where we were really hurting.
And we achieved what we wanted to by
Yeah, right.
putting that up there.
Moving it to $9 an hour just in the educational aids moves that increase in cost to $784. And the total for all the combined changes, if we left the others at 85%, is $8,635.
Just ask you guys to consider that. You know, I know you're not asking for any board action today.
Right.
So you've heard the feedback, so
Okay.
just ask you to consider that when you come back with a formal recommendation.
Absolutely. So, I'll be looking probably to do this in the November meeting so that we can have things ready for January 1st, because then that gives Mike time to, and Laura, able to make all the adjustments in payroll. So, any feedback I'll be asking for, just contact me and let me know. Okay. All right. The next piece is I wanted to give you a little bit of interesting update. If I waited for the state, I would have been in panic mode, you know, but the state does things in their own time. So they sent out, 10 weeks into the school year, the data on Madison, on all students in the state of Ohio, that they have for meeting end of course requirements or remediation free score pathways. Well, we've been meeting on this since last spring. We've met a couple times this fall. We have charts, we know where every kid is. But, you know, it's basically, we have 58.2% that have already met all their pathways. Then the state came up with a number that students that are highly likely to meet the requirements. And that's some of those kids that are government kids that took AP government as seniors, have to take the test yet, some college credit plus kids. So we've got 23.3% that are close. So that, combining those two numbers, we're on track with about 81.5% that are well on their way for the end of course. We have about 18% that need remediation, and we're aware of that, and that's about where we fall even on OGT, which is what I've said all along, is that this has not been that major of a change for us as far as with the 18 points. It's a little harder to calculate because you got 2 points here, 3 points here, and, you know, tracking all of it, but our high school team is very, very good and on top of that, so.
Is that this year's seniors?
That's this year's seniors. And that's what we come into with about OGT even, with science and, science was our big one under OGT. We used to have about 40 or 50 kids every October in the senior class that needed to take a science test. So we're gonna get those kids across the pipeline. Now, what that means, because this is, you know, the ever-moving target. So we have the meeting, the end of course, remediation free and all of those types of things. As I reported, I think a couple weeks ago in one of the newsletters, that the new ESSA, formerly, all our No Child Left Behind, so many names we can't even remember what they're all called anymore. But the Title I law that provides the federal funding has changed the way we calculate graduation rate. So kids that do not meet it without accommodations will not count in the, or that do not meet it if they have to have accommodations or significant different pathway, like our most severe kids on alternative assessment, will not count in the federal graduation rate. They'll still get a diploma, but as it gets reported out, they won't count.
So what about our kids that are just on IEPs that maybe need a reader or something of that nature for a test?
Is that a significant change to how they? Well,
It goes
they
by
pass.
whether the accommodations they require on an IEP are beyond the allowable.
Right.
So reading, we don't really have readers anymore because it's web-based. There's text-to-speech on everything except for the reading portions of tests, because if you have it read to you, then you can't really assess reading, which used to be allowed. So I say that not, because it does make sense, but it used to be allowed. So students who have accommodations beyond the allowable can be exempt from the consequences of not passing the end of course.
And can you give us an example of what beyond the allowable would be?
Sure. Things that are allowable are like extended time, small group testing, text-to-speech, those kind of common, typical types of accommodation. Kids who are more significant and need, manipulatives and reduced amounts of work, things broken down into chunks, things segmented, that kind of thing are not allowable on the state testing. So they may need it and require it in day-to-day testing. And that's okay, that's a different section of the IEP. And that's permissible. There's things kids can use and be entitled to every day, but are not allowed for
On the state
standardized testing.
So the bottom line is if we determine that a kid has done everything they can, meeting Madison standards, the 24 credits, but they can't accumulate what they need to on these points, where we've been able to exempt them and give them the diploma, and they've counted in our graduation rate previously, they still get an Ohio diploma, they still get a diploma, but when we report out, they will no longer count in the graduation rate.
Okay,
Is that
so,
federal or state?
That's federal.
Okay.
And then
Does
the
that show on the
state's gonna
state
appear
report?
it, because it's part of the whole ESSA bill.
So when you say they don't count in the graduation rate, they're not removed like an abstention, they count as a failure. Is that right?
Yeah.
So they count as not graduating even though they are getting a diploma
And
and
they
admit our
graduate.
requirements. And because of the accommodation that was beyond what the state determined they were
So
going to
our
accept.
most, and where this really, really is a rub for me personally, is our most severe kids that are alternatively assessed, that aren't part of the regular curriculum, that have a very modified curriculum, but are a huge part of the school community, and we all know who they are from our Project Unify games. Their diplomas don't matter in that graduation rate to the federal government. It's just, to me, it's, because you guys know I'm all about getting kids across the stage and giving them an opportunity. And no one really, when they go to get a job someday, is gonna say, well, did your diploma meet the federal requirement?
Right.
But it's another crazy way of reporting that it's just gotten out of hand.
and is our federal funding tied to this number?
Yes, it is. So it's not like we can be, because we get a significant, we get over $1 million in federal funding to help kids close the gap.
So how, if you bottom line it, it impacts you, impacts
It does.
perhaps. Are you making any adjustments to accommodate this? Is there anything that you can do, anything that you and
We
the
are.
superintendent have talked about?
We're having a lot of conversations, because it's mostly at the high school level, because that's obviously the graduation. It impacts from third grade on, as far as exempting from the third grade reading guarantee and all. It's a conundrum because the kids who really need these accommodations and need these supports because they have significant disabilities are being penalized because, as if they don't graduate, and the district's being penalized when we should be doing the most we can for them. So we do what's right for the kids.
Right.
We're just then held accountable both, on the report card, our graduation rate, our funding, and everything else. Which is similar to when we have specifically our most severe kids who don't graduate when they meet academic requirements. The kids who go on to Broadmoor and stay in vocational programs because that's what's right for kids, to get them the most opportunity to be able to work in the community, competitively or not. And that goes against us as well because they're not graduating in 4 years. So we're kind of set up to fail in a lot of ways. We're having a lot of conversations, preschool to high school, on accommodations that we provide. So we're cognizant of looking at it with fresh eyes every year so that we're not teaching kids to be reliant on those accommodations, yet providing them the support. I think the other part is when we change to end of course, it's a whole new way of testing. The kids are not used to it. It's 7 tests instead of 5. It's multiple times. It's a very convoluted method of earning enough points. Instead of taking 5 tests and you have multiple opportunities to pass 5 tests. And so we're testing them in something that they already struggle in and something that is high stakes. So it's a balance of providing the accommodations that they need, but not too many so that they don't count. And so we try to build the case on what do the kids need so that we can exempt them from the consequences so they can graduate. But then it's going to count against, and you're not really, federally, so it's the rules we have to live by. So it's an ongoing conversation on doing what's right by kids.
And this is the new Every Student Succeeds Act, and this is what was passed in ESSA, and so it's a learning curve, and I am sure there will be more changes to come, and I am sure there will be some public outcry.
It's not just affecting us, it's going to affect every district
Oh,
in
yeah.
the state.
Every district is going to see a dip in their graduation rate as a result of this.
That's a success area for Madison, our graduation rate.
Yeah.
And we're encouraged and in many cases required to make more and more accommodations for these kids. And then right back around to the graduation rate.
It is. So those are the things that, make me crazy in my job, because if I spent all the time trying to keep up with all the things that ODE tells us that we need to do and change, I'd be totally white right now. So, this is one I will fall on my sword for because, it's the most, I've shared with this board numerous times, the most important thing we do is get kids to graduate and give them a chance at a future. And so they will still get a diploma, and we just have to be able to explain to people this craziness of the federal government. And I know our organization is working, BASA, the State Superintendent's Association is working very hard on some advocacy measures, and they worked with a couple people in the legislature to get what's called a deregulation bill to the House Education Committee, and to start talking about things that need to change in some of the things that have been legislated to us in the last several years. So I am very, very encouraged that we're going to get some changes. And there are things that, I will go down and fight for, and this is one of them. Because our kids work hard. And on that note, I just wanted to get you all, since we now have a full new board, and I know once we get to holiday time, life gets a little crazy, but start thinking about January. We had talked about a board retreat, and getting some dates together so that we could start planning that. And as a part of that, because at our state association meeting, we heard, Dave and I both heard this wonderful speaker on engaging family and, pass them on down, family and community. And I had said in the newsletter a couple weeks ago that I was going to order this book, and they came in. And there's some workable things, and in the newsletter this week I'll sort of break down, you know, thoughts on how we can go about having a discussion about the book. It's a very easy reading style, and, you know, but it talks about community and family engagement. So, I'm excited to read it and share it with you. I know Dave's excited about it too, because we both talked about it and said this would be a great read. And I said, what do you think if the board read it? He was, of course he's not going to tell me no. But then I asked Mike, who
Don't
could,
get that for them.
you know,
Who
tell
might
me
have told
no.
you no.
But no, you didn't. You didn't. You said, why not? So here we go. And I think I've checked off everything on my list. So I'm going to turn it over to Dave.
So along the same thought on testing, as you drive by our elementary schools in the morning next Tuesday and next Thursday, send positive thoughts towards the buildings. As our third graders will be taking their first state tests of their educational careers, the third grade, first shot at the third grade reading assessment.
Okay.
They'll take part A in the morning on Tuesday and part B in the morning on Thursday. And that's their first of at least 2 opportunities in their third grade year to get over that third grade reading guarantee hump. Any student who has not received a qualifying score by the end of the school year will have a third opportunity in the summer, along with opportunities on another vendor assessment, the Iowa test, that we'll be able to give at least 3 times per this school year as well. So, so that's our first day of testing coming up next week, so positive thoughts. Another thing that I've been working on this week, we're back at it with our curriculum maps and pacing guides. Today we had social studies teachers in from grades 3 through 5. We got a good jump start on our maps last year, and this year we're adding a lot of resources to those maps. So it becomes really useful for teachers to go to that map to find some options of ways that they can teach the standards that they're required to teach. And we've also attached a number of assessments on there, so we're getting more and more to the point where we're using common assessments for the kids. This helps teachers to look at those results and kind of compare who got really good results and how did they teach it in a way that yielded those results. And that helps our whole teaming process. So we're in year 3 now of mapping and pacing, and we're starting to see things come around. I get excited every time. So it's
I know you do. And it's been a long time since we started this talk about mapping and pacing. So could you let everyone know that, you know, basically this is so that the kids at South are learning the exact same things that the kids at North.
Sure. We're looking for a consistent approach to teaching, so that we map out the topics, and approximately they should be taught at around the same time, with some flexibility within the classroom, different groups in different classrooms and that kind of thing. But basically we take the state standards and we put them in the order that we think is most appropriate. We try to share things that we're doing and put some of those resources right in the map, so a teacher at South can use the same resources that a teacher at North uses. You know, we're trying to get a guaranteed experience. Every second grader, there are about 8 or 9 classrooms of second grade in Madison schools. Every second grader should have a similar experience in terms of quality and in terms of what they're being exposed to educationally. So it's a growing thing. We're getting really strong with English language arts right now. Social studies has really come around now at this point, and we're looking forward to digging into science, but we did not attack that this year, because we're really putting a lot of energy into our early literacy pilot, which I've shared with everyone. So yeah, just a lot of tweaking and improving of our maps, and making them more and more useful. So that's been, I think, really good work. And the last thing I just want to bring up, transportation. We are working on the disposal of some old buses that are no longer of use to us. So we will be bringing a list of those buses for your approval at a future board meeting, but in the meantime, we're kind of clearing them out from behind the middle school. And our new technician, I know you've all been made aware that we hired our new
Well,
technician.
they're approving him tonight.
And he's coming online, and we should be back at full force in terms of getting our buses to be a well-managed, well-maintained fleet.
How many buses are we getting rid of?
We should be getting rid of about 9 and holding on to about 5 that are still of value for the parts that are on them.
Where do they typically end up going?
They can be scrapped, or they can be sold to somebody who would like to bid on them. But these
And
buses,
some of them have been around for a long time.
yeah, you may open the door and see there's no stairwell in there because it's been pulled off to be put on one that had a stairwell that was rusted out, so they're.
So our mechanics have stripped it clean of everything we can
Absolutely,
use.
Absolutely, and that's what we said.
It's a
What?
Flintstone bus.
Yeah.
We are thrifty.
Yeah, what out there can you pull nothing, is of no value to us, and we should get it off our lot, and so I've got that list of bus numbers.
So for Saturday, for the cross-country meet, most of them will be gone. There might be a couple that they just can't move. But I said, we really do need to, clean up the graveyard a little bit and get them over to the lot. Because that's what it reminds me of, like the airport graveyards. Have you ever seen those in Arizona? Well, we've got the bus lot graveyard, so,
Some caution tape around it.
yeah. Yes, and I did go over to the bus garage yesterday, and I saw Joe White, and he is so excited. I mean, he's just beaming from ear to ear, and it's, yes, ma'am, I'm glad to be here, and I just want to make this the best fleet that there is around, and, if you need a dose of enthusiasm, he's the guy. So,
And I don't know the answer to this, but does our new bus garage have an area where they can wash the buses?
I think they're still doing that outside,
Okay.
yeah, but they do wash them, yes. They have to, especially
I
in the
know,
salt.
just in the wintertime, a lot of times
Yeah.
we see them looking really,
Yeah, well, I
really
think
bad.
now,
New board members start
everybody,
washing in January.
They didn't tell her that.
so I just wondered if we had an area indoors that they were
Well,
able to do that.
the area that I wanted to use, but we did need a place to put the drivers to that other bay, so that's where the driver's lounge is. So they're working it all out, but I have a feeling with everybody all on one area, it's gonna be a lot easier to watch and make sure the buses are getting washed on a regular basis.
Okay.
So that is top priority.
Yeah, I mean, when you can't even read the number on the back of the bus because it's so dirty, there's an issue.
Yeah, write and wash me on the bus, that's not good. Yeah.
Just a couple things since I chatted quite a bit earlier. We are continuing and scheduling trainings for both administrators on, our attorney is coming in to update, do a refresher on 504 plans. We have some new administrators, so it's a good time to have a refresher. So Scott Peters will be coming at the end of the month to provide that, so everybody stays up to date that we're following the law. And with IEP trainings, we're doing a refresher again, preschool through high school. We have a couple times set up for our state support team to come in and make sure everybody's staying current. There are changes coming in on IEP forms and that, but it's not been sent out by the state, so and it's not major changes, so there's nothing really major. The testing in the end of course is probably the hottest topic that, we keep addressing and trying to make sure the intervention specialists are not only understanding the intent of the law, the letter of the law, but what makes sense for kids, and that's a little bit of a balancing act at times, so. But I think we do a nice job with the administrators and everyone to support trying to make those decisions and do what's best for kids. So, that's all I've got.
Thank you.
All right, ready for recommendations?
We sure are.
Okay. Under the personnel motion this evening, we're asking you to accept the following resignations. To accept with regret the retirement resignation of James Maynard, custodian, effective January 1st, 2018, after 25 years of service. To accept the resignation of Katie Polis, preschool assistant, effective September 29th, 2017. And to accept the resignation of Michelle Ziegler, special needs assistant at Madison Middle School, effective October 11th, 2017. We're asking you to enter into the following employment contracts. Each of the following substitute teachers is approved by the Lake County Educational Service Center and/or the Madison Local School District Superintendent under a one-year limited substitute teacher contract for the 17-18 school year, beginning with Melanie Allison and ending with Richard Circola. To employ Gary Zay under a long-term substitute teacher contract from October 23rd, 2017 through November 16th, 2017 to perform the duties of Elizabeth Naniger. To employ Joseph White under a one-year limited contract as a bus mechanic effective Monday, October 16th, 2017. To employ Amanda Lanning under a one-year limited contract as an educational assistant cafeteria at Madison Middle School for the 2017 contract year, effective September 28, 2017, for 3.5 hours per day. To employ Holly Osborne under a one-year limited contract as a preschool assistant at the hourly rate of compensation of $8.25 for 6.5 hours per scheduled preschool days, effective October 2nd, 2017 through May 25th, 2018. Asking you to approve the following transfers. To transfer Heather Moran from a 2-hour per day educational assistant playground at North Elementary to an educational assistant special needs at Madison Pre-K for 3 hours per day, effective September 18, 2017. To transfer Christine Weisbarth from a 2-hour educational aid playground at South Elementary to a 2-hour educational aid cafeteria at South Elementary, effective October 4th, 2017, and to transfer Kayla Collins from Educational Assistant Playground at South Elementary School to Educational Assistant Playground at North Elementary School, effective October 16th, 2017.
I'll move.
Second?
Questions or comments? Roll call?
Michael Howry.
Yes.
Michelle Hayes.
Yes.
Gene Sensi.
Yes.
Larry Armstrong.
Yes.
Sean Douglas.
Yes.
Vote is 5-0.
Okay, got several resolutions tonight, so I won't read all of them, but I will read the last one. The first is a resolution declaring Red Ribbon Week, and the annual Red Ribbon celebration is observed across America during Red Ribbon Week, October 23rd to 27th, offering community members the opportunity to demonstrate their commitment to healthy, drug-free lifestyles.
Can I get a motion?
So moved.
I'll second.
Questions or comments? Roll call?
Michelle Hayes.
Yes.
Gene Sensi.
Yes.
Larry Armstrong.
Yes.
Sean Douglas.
Yes.
Michael Howry.
Yes.
Vote is 4-0.
Okay, and our next...
5-0, my apologies.
That's okay. Our next is a resolution recognizing and commending Kent Michael Butler for earning the Eagle Scout Award, the highest honor bestowed by the Boy Scouts of America. And I do want to read a little bit about his project, and as well as see if anybody wants to attend the Eagle Court. So I'll read the first 3 parts. Whereas the highest rank of a young man can earn as a member of the Boy Scout of America is the Eagle Scout Award, an honor attained only by earning the requisite number of merit badges among a prescribed order and within a specified time frame. And whereas Kent Michael Butler, a member of the junior class at Madison High School, is also a member of Boy Scout Troop 55 in the Greater Western Reserve Council of the Boy Scouts of America. And whereas Kent's Eagle Scout Service Project was constructing a naturescape playground, a multi-purpose bocce ball court, and installed a swinging bench at Fairport Harbor Metro Park for the enjoyment of beach goers. The project took a total of 189 hours to complete and only cost $142 due to the many donations he received for the project.
That's fantastic.
Isn't it?
Congratulations to Kent. It's quite an accomplishment.
It is. A lot of work.
It is. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
I'll second.
Roll call?
Gene Sensi,
Yes.
Larry Armstrong,
Yes.
Sean Douglas,
Yes.
Michael Howry,
Yes.
Michelle Hayes.
Yes.
Vote is 5-0.
And his Eagle Court is October 29th. I don't know if anybody would be able to attend on behalf of the board. If somebody can let me know. If not, I will.
And you said that's a Sunday?
Yeah,
Is it in
a
the evening
Sunday.
or in the daytime?
It's in the afternoon. I think it's like 3 o'clock and I have all
Yeah,
the
it is
information. It is? Are you?
I got invited.
Oh, you got invited.
okay.
So do you know the location too?
I do not.
I have that in my office. Whoever goes, I will share that information. All right, the next one is a bittersweet resolution. I will read this one in its entirety. I guess there are two of them, those two resolutions, so she didn't break them down. So I will read both of these in their entirety. Whereas Jacqueline Asbell has served the Madison Local School District with distinction for the past 11 years as a member of the Board of Education, and whereas Jacqueline has devoted service to the Madison community, keeping the interests of the children foremost in her educational leadership while serving on the board, and whereas Jacqueline's contributions to Madison are greatly appreciated by this Board of Education, now therefore be it resolved that the Madison Local Board of Education expresses its thanks to Jacqueline Asbell for her service to children and wishes her and her family well. Be it further resolved that a copy of this signed resolution be presented to Jacqueline Asbell. And then the next one is, our guest is in the audience here, and this is a bittersweet one as well for me to read aloud. Whereas Nancy Curry became the director of Madison Public Library in 1995 and has served in the capacity for the past 22 years. And whereas Nancy led the library through 2 building renovations during that time, 1 large expansion in 2000 and an interior renovation in 2016. And where Nancy has been an advocate for libraries and library funding. And whereas she improved the staff and patrons' ability to check out and find materials by implementing RFID technology, subject-based categorizing, and self-check. And whereas Nancy has been an active member in many organizations, including the Northeast Ohio Regional Library System Board, where she served as president, Lake County Chamber of Commerce, Madison Perry Area Chamber of Commerce, where she served as past president, current secretary of the Madison Kiwanis Club, OLD Government Relations Committee, and the Rabbit Run Community Arts Association Board, just to name a few. And whereas she has represented the eastern communities of CleveNet and has served on the directors panel that led to the committee to standardize CleveNet policies, and now therefore be it resolved that the Madison Local Board of Education acknowledges and applauds the continued efforts of Nancy Curry and her hard work to make the Madison Public Library a vital part of the community and put together a staff that happily helps the library's patrons. Be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be presented on behalf of and with gratitude on this board to Nancy Curry, Director of the Madison Public Library, as a token of our deep appreciation for her positive contributions to our community.
So moved.
I'll second.
Questions or comments?
I'd like to comment about Nancy. You know, I served on the board for the library board for 12 of those 22 years that she's worked there. And very good director, good friend, and has done a great job leading the library and have been an advocate for Madison. And so I really appreciate all of your time and efforts and look forward to having some continued lunches as now they have a bit more availability. And so congratulations, and I hope that you really enjoy your retirement. Also like to comment that Jacqueline was a very, very good board member. I told her one time I thought she was one of the top 3 smartest people I've ever met in my entire life and one of the most dedicated public servants. And I believe that, and very appreciative of all the efforts that she made to help me when I was appointed to the board. And so congratulations to her on her time here in office. And I know she started a new business, and I wish her well.
I agree. I'd like to thank Nancy also for all of her service to the community. She's always a friendly face in the crowd, and I hope you keep coming to all of our meetings.
What's retirement for? Huh?
Jacqueline I did a little quick math on the way here, and she's probably attended close to 300 board meetings in her time on this board. And that could very well be more than all of us sitting here combined. So she just did an outstanding job, and that experience was very helpful to me as well. So I thank her for all she's done for this board and this community.
I agree. Jacqueline will be missed. Her heart was always in the right place. She made the best decisions that she could, and she contributed a lot to this board. And I am sorry to see her go. I am very grateful that we found a good replacement. But it's still hard to let her go. And Nancy, the library just won't be the same without seeing you there, your friendly face. I look forward to seeing you when I go to the library, so I'm going to miss you.
You might still run into me there once.
I know, I'll see you every first and third Tuesday of every month, sitting right here in the audience.
I didn't serve with Jacqueline very long, but it didn't take very long to realize how incredibly intelligent, professional, and competent she was, and yet she flashed that smile, and she was just a warm-hearted person. It was a joy to serve with her. And Nancy, there's two words I hear a lot in the culture today. One is grit and one is legacy, and you've modeled both very well. You know, long time at the library, and you're leaving a great legacy, so congratulations.
I do have, Jacqueline and I started working together well before she was on the board. We served on levy campaigns, I think, in the mid-2000s, and so watching her children grow up makes me feel old. But, you know, she was great to work with, full of ideas, and very community-minded, and always looking at the best way to serve our students in this school system, and she will be missed. But glad to have Jean aboard. Nancy, grit is a good word because libraries have had to reinvent themselves over and over and over again. And Madison is always on the cutting edge of that, and that's because of your leadership and your ability to create partnerships and work well with the schools. And when we moved in and became that neighbor, we worked through things, and we've got it down to a well-oiled machine. My first introduction to Sean was through getting that to a well-oiled machine. And you will be missed. But you said you weren't going away, so I know where to find you.
And again, we'll see her on the first and third Tuesday.
One more time.
She's probably going to be watching the recorded version. Is my guess.
Roll call, please.
Before that, I'd like to echo
Oh, of
everybody's
course.
sentiments on Jacqueline. Obviously, she was here when I was hired, and those original board members, there's now one left, kind of hold a special place in your professional heart of, they were the ones that brought you here. How long have I been here? 6 or 7 years working with Jacqueline has just been a treat. Really a great board member. And Nancy, you know, we've worked together for 6 years, and I'd say I'd see you every first and third Tuesday, but I don't know where you're gonna be, so I'm not gonna drive out to see you. But congratulations on your retirement also. Okay. Larry Armstrong?
Yes.
Sean Douglas?
Yes.
Michael Howery?
Yes.
Michelle Hayes?
Yes.
Gene Sensi?
Yes.
Vote is 5-0.
And all kidding aside, Nancy, we got to do this tonight, and we're glad you're here because at your soiree next month, we're all in Columbus at the Capitol Conference for the Ohio School Boards Association. So it's very personal here. Where else would you get this personal attention? And we all got to talk. So this is the first reading of several board policy updates. We do first and second readings. And I will give you this sheet after I'm done reading it, because they all got it in a previous newsletter. So these, Neola, who helps us develop our policies, looks at all the changes from the budget law and puts into effect different things that have to happen. And some of these will change multiple times over your tenure. Some of them may change again in the update at the end of the year. So the College Credit Plus program policy is a revision, and it is to our benefit to adopt this policy because it's for students who do not have a remediation-free score on an entrance test, may not enroll in courses. And right now, it's up to the college. This gives us a little more latitude, because what happens if a student goes off to take courses at Lakeland and fails them, they have to pay for them. And if they're not ready, they shouldn't be going. Gifted education identification, this is a revised policy in an ever-changing world of gifted education, and these changes are the policies or standards that went into effect July 1st. And all I can say is thank you for Dr. David Dewey, because he keeps us out of gifted jail and makes sure we are all on top of our policies. The employment of substitute aides and is the next one, and that is a new policy, and it says that aides may substitute up to 60 days without a permit as long as all other conditions of employment are met. And this is a something, I guess, in some audits in the state of Ohio, they were finding treasurers for aides, substitute aides not having permits. So we are making sure all our substitute aides have permits, although in that deregulation bill I talked about earlier, this is one of the things they said needs to go because it's a little crazy. Attendance, we've all, it'll now forever be known as 5200, but we all affectionately know it as House Bill 410, which is the new attendance law, and this is the official policy. Even though we're operating under the law now, this makes it official policy. And that's the one that calculates the hours instead of days, absence intervention teams, and how attendance is reported. Drug prevention, 5530. This policy revision is expanded to reflect the prohibition of student use of the beetle net on school property or on school sponsored event as enacted into law. And the beetle net is some weird thing that came out of, I think, South America, and kids have started to use. So they've added this into the drug policy.
Okay,
I'd have to get you more information.
I'll have to Google it, because
Yeah.
I've never heard of beetle nut.
Yeah, it's a new one. I Googled it once and I didn't
Beetle,
commit-
B-E-A-T-L-E?
It's a B-E-T-E-L.
Yes.
Oh, wait a minute, he's got his computer up, he'll tell you exactly what it is.
Beetlejuice, that's what I thought it was saying, really.
No.
Do you guys know what it is?
No.
No, good. Well, that's good you don't know what it is. No, you're not supposed to use it.
Don't look it up.
While you're Googling that, I'll go on to the next one. 7300 disposition of real property. This policy has been revised to reflect current law and talks about selling property to community or STEM schools. While we have to adjust our policy to impact it, I don't see an implication for us right now because we don't have community or STEM schools within our boundaries. And then the 9141 is an actual board policy related to Business Advisory Council, and it's enacting the laws that the governor wanted to put into place regarding business advisory councils. We have a functioning business advisory council. What it's going to do is change a couple ways we operate. We'll meet quarterly with the board, sort of as a progress, and we meet about quarterly anyway, so there'll probably be a little meeting before that, and really the governor wants the business advisory councils to reflect the community. And we have on our business advisory council somebody representing one of our larger industries, which is the nurseries. We have a banker, we have a medical professional, we have a pastor in Father Pastor Mike as well from the clergy. If you have other ideas of who you'd like to see on that we could reach out to, that would be great. But we can have some more conversation about that. But it is a law that went into effect on July 1st. And this was the compromise, because remember when the governor wanted to appoint 3 community people to the Board of Education that were appointed by the superintendent and they had no voting rights, so.
Okay, does everybody else have the beetle nut thing? Because I didn't think it was in here.
Oh, she didn't run that one?
I don't have that in here.
Well, I will make sure you have that one, okay, because she was supposed to.
It's not on the list on the agenda, at least on my version. Beetle
So
net.
she must have missed that one. All right, so we will be adding that for first reading. And I will get it to you, I apologize.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, what's a beetle nut though, please?
Oh.
It falls from a type of palm tree. It's used by almost a tenth of the world's population. It gives people a buzz equivalent to 6 cups of coffee. So basically, they said alongside of nicotine, alcohol, and caffeine, it's one of the most popular mind-altering substances in the world.
How is that for you?
I think
Well, 6
Large
cups of
amounts of
coffee.
caffeine.
Yeah.
Stimulate the heart, yeah, mind
Give
altering.
you a heart attack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
high rates of oral cancer. Yeah, I think that's really what the article that I happen to be looking at is
Ooh.
talking about high rates of oral cancer. And
Oh,
you
those
figure,
teeth,
you
yeah,
figure if it's a lot
yeah.
stronger
It's a
than
beetle?
tobacco and nicotine,
No,
then
the
it's
teeth
gonna have a
Rotted.
rotted away.
bigger
There's a
impact in
picture.
terms
Oh,
of.
the picture of somebody's teeth rotting?
Yeah.
There you go. You'll ruin
Brush
that
your
pretty
teeth.
smile.
Teeth fall out, skin turns green probably.
Rot your teeth out,
Makes-
don't do it.
Makes you unpopular. Okay.
All right.
Okay, yes, can I get a motion?
I'll move.
Second?
Questions or comments? Roll call?
Sean Douglas?
Yes.
Michael Howery?
Yes.
Michelle Hayes?
Yes.
Gene Sensi?
Yes.
Larry Armstrong?
Yes.
Vote is 5-0.
All right, we have 2 quick items on the consent calendar for this evening. Looking for approval for an out-of-state trip for Madison High School softball team to attend the Clay County Softball Tournament in Cooksville, Tennessee on March 29th, 31st, 2018 at a cost of $300 per participant and at no cost to the board. To enter into a consultant services contract with Jeremy Sullivan to provide percussion instruction to Madison High School Marching Band effective October 25th, 2017 through October 27th, 2017 at a cost not to exceed $1,300.
So moved.
Second.
Questions or comments? Roll call?
Michael Howery?
Yes.
Michelle Hayes?
Yes.
Gene Sensi?
Yes.
Larry Armstrong?
Yes.
Sean Douglas?
Yes.
Vote is 5-0.
Okay, we are now on to the second public participation. If any member of the audience would like to stand and address the board, this is on any topic item. You have 5 minutes. Please state your name and address. Hi.
Hi, Joe Boston, 7294 Ross Road. There was some discussion on the media about the Perry plant maybe shutting down. I mean, this is just something in the air, but anyhow, since we share income from them, I'm just wondering if there was any contingency plans to make to make up for the loss of income that we would get from that, if they would do this. I mean, I know this is just a hypothetical thing, but I just want to know if we have any kind of a contingency plan.
I actually, is it okay?
Yeah, oh, yeah, go right
Sorry.
ahead. I was just gonna say, we just talked about this with Mike, so go right ahead.
I sent a memo to the board October 4th about this issue and laid out what kind of revenue we get. And we share in the tax value of the Perry Nuclear Power Plant through the Joint Financing District, which is a 4-district levy, us, Painesville City, Perry, and Riverside. It is a piece of that overall revenue. So we get revenue from the Perry Nuclear Power Plant based on the real estate tax value, the public utility tangible tax, and state reimbursement for the loss of tangible personal property. Total revenue from the entire joint financing district was about 1.4 million. What we stand to lose is two parts of that revenue stream. Public utility tangible property tax of 217,000 and loss from the state reimbursement of 49. That's if the plant completely shuts down. We would lose those two for sure, and then whatever the value of that property would go down would actually be picked up by the other taxpayers in the joint financing district by adjusting the millage. Was originally passed in 1989, something like that, 1990, for 4.9 mils, and it currently, because of the increase in values of all four districts, collects at 2.4 something. So the loss of the value in the power plant would be offset by raising the millage on the other property in those four districts. So we wouldn't see much of a loss on the straight devaluation of the nuke plant.
So you're saying though that our millage would go up then?
It could. It's been going down for 27 years now, a little bit every year. It could go back up because the way those are passed is it needs to generate across certain parts of the values this amount of money. As values go up, this amount of money takes less millage to generate. Well, if they take away the entire value of the nuke plant, our millage could go up. But the chance of them completely shutting down, it really probably isn't going to happen. The state is talking about subsidies to help them stay in business. You know, they want clean energy, and if they don't get them there, somebody else may come in and say nuclear power is still viable for them to operate and buy the plant. So parts of those revenue streams will still continue without affecting the millage at all. So I think while we're looking at it, we're still probably a long ways off of seeing any impact on us and the other three members of the joint financing district.
Thank you.
Okay?
Thank you, Joe.
I guess I got lucky bringing that folder.
Anyone else?
Yes. Hi, I'm Nancy Curry from Madison Public Library, 6111 Middle Ridge Road. Come visit. I wanted to say a couple things. First off, I want to give a real shout out to the Key Club. Those folks came over and helped with the Community Expo the other night and did an amazing job. It was so easy for us because they took care of everything. They were motivated, they were self-motivated, they took very little direction from us. They just did what needed to be done, and they did a wonderful job of it. They also took over, for the second year, they did a drive for materials for the community food center. I'm still trying to say that correctly, for the community food center, and brought those materials over. They collected several carloads of stuff, and those cars were really packed, of non-food items to take to the food center. And so that was a real boon for them as well. But it's really nice to see, kids that are doing a great thing of their own volition because they want to help out.
Yeah.
I also want to say thank you to you folks for the lovely resolution, but also for all the years of working together. And I feel like the library and the schools have started to develop a very nice partnership. I'm really glad to have been a part of that, but I know it's going to continue, even when I'm not there. And a real shout out to Angela, because I think the whole tenor of the school district and working with the schools have changed since she has come on board as the superintendent. I really enjoy working with her, and I hope she's going to be here with you for years to come. So thank you all.
Thank you, Nancy.
Thank you. Okay. Kids in the audience, if you're here for class, as soon as we're done, just bring your agenda up and have it signed by anybody at the board here at the table. We do have a brief need for executive session. We will not be conducting any business when we come back. And what number are we going in for here?
Would it be employment?
It would
Yeah,
be,
number, the employment.
Number one.
employment, Yeah.
okay. So can I get a motion to go into executive session for the purpose of appointment, employment dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of a public employee?
So moved.
I'll second.
And roll call?
Michelle Hayes,
Yes.
Gene Sensi,
Yes.
Larry Armstrong,
Yes.
Sean Douglas,
Yes.
Michael Howery,
Yes.
vote is 5-0.
Thank you.